Welcome back to Ride JBI. This is JB. Today we finished up a suspension revalve on this WP to KYB SSS conversion kit, along with some other custom coating upgrades. One of the forks I completely finished and assembled, as you can see on the left. And the other fork, I left out the KYB damping cartridge and the spring. So that way we can show you guys a little bit of what the internals look like. This is the KYB SSS damping cartridge. We also refer to this as the hydraulics. Here we have the main fork spring. As you can see, the spring is really shiny because at Ride JBI, we like to have all of our fork springs REM super finished. It is a polishing, or actually it's more of a finishing process that leaves the metal in a very smooth, actually uniformly smooth condition and polished. It's the same process that they use on transmissions. The reason we like to have the springs polished is a lot of springs are a little bit rough to touch in their raw form, or in the form that we receive them from many of our vendors. In this case, the spring is from KYB themselves. So by having the spring super finished, that removes all the rough texture to the spring. And what that means is the oil won't get as dirty as quickly, because this spring is going to rub on the inside of your fork tube as your fork operates. The reason being is this spring is so long that when you compress it, the spring is going to want to bow to the left or to the right as we compress it down this way. And that is totally normal for a spring this length to want to buckle. As that spring rubs on the inside of the fork tube, it's going to polish the edges down. So instead of having a rough spring where it's going to polish off the roughness and dirty up the oil, instead we have a really smooth, already polished spring. So it's going to keep our fork oil really clean and nice during the service life of this fork. All right, some of the other things we have done is there's the JBI chameleon coat on the inner fork tubes. As a nice color gradient, starting from a reddish purplish, going to a blue, and then to a green hue. And then for the upper fork tubes, we have the JBI Foshima Coat coating. It is our look-alike Kashima coat, about $100 less. Let's see if we can get some better light angles on it. Now the fork lugs are the black billet fork lugs. These come with our KYB kit. These fork lugs ensure that these KYB cartridges fit 100% properly inside of these WP fork tubes. And these fork lugs also ensure maintaining use of your OEM brake caliper and front wheel. So that way the only thing you have to change out are the lugs and drop in this KYB damping assembly, and you then have KYB forks on your KTM, Husqvarna, or Gas. All of the services, coatings, and JBI Spec WP to KYB SSS kit have their own product pages at ridejbi.com. On those product pages, there's lots of text information detailing exactly what the product is, how it works, and how much it costs. And there's a bunch of additional images and videos as well. Ride JBI is a very informative website with really in-depth product information, and we also feature a lot of rider feedback and reviews as well. We like to be very transparent about what we do at Ride JBI, how we do it, and what you should expect in return as a rider. This is a really cool custom build that we got to do. The chameleon coat always looks great, and it always matches well with the brown Fukushima upper tubes. As cool as these forks look, they're going to work just as well with our JBI Spec KYB SSS cartridges installed inside of these. Lots of information on our JBI Spec KYB SSS kits can be found at ridejbi.com. It is under the Pro Setups category. A common upgrade for these, but not this time, is the JBI Pro Perch. That replaces the OEM spring seat right here. What the Pro Perch does is it gives the forks much better bottoming resistance the last few inches of travel. Let's bring it out a little bit, because the way it works is when we pour oil inside of our forks into the outer chamber, there is oil in the outer chamber and in the lower leg of the fork, and it is around our spring. So as the fork compresses down this way, our spring seat's going to compress down with the cartridge. At a certain point, this spring seat is going to engage oil in this inner tube. When that spring seat engages that oil, it's going to help slow the fork down, aka additional compression resistance. We also call that bottoming resistance. While this one works okay, the JBI Pro Perch is much more effective at slowing the fork down and giving you, the rider, much more bottoming resistance, therefore making it much more comfortable to go long or go short on big jumps and on high impacts while riding. This setup right here was set up for motocross for a 2023 KTM 300SX. Ride JBI has also tested, tuned, and developed many other suspension settings for all the various types of off-road riding, motocross, arena cross, supercross, and freestyle motocross. All right, if you'd like Ride JBI to do your suspension, please give us a call or send us an email. We can discuss the year, make, and model bike that you have, which options are available, and which setup would be most advantageous for you. All JBI suspension services and parts can be found at ridejbi.com.